the changes between the three phases of matter: solids, liquids, and gases. Let's start with the liquids. Now, in the liquid, the particles, they are kind of sliding past each other. They're kind of rolling over each other. They're not locked in a fixed position. So while liquids do have a fixed volume, they don't have a fixed shape. Liquids take the shape of their container. Now, the particles in the liquid, they're moving around all over each other. They're kind of rolling all over each other. But if you release energy from that liquid, if you take some of that energy out, if you remove that energy, the particles will move slower. And as they move slower and slower, the particles will eventually come to a stop, turning that liquid into a solid. And the process for a liquid going to a solid, we know more commonly as freezing. So after you remove enough energy, the particles slow down into a stop, and the liquid is now frozen, and it is now a solid. Now in a solid, the particles aren't moving around that much. They're kind of vibrating in place, and they're locked in place, as you can see in the picture. Solids have a fixed volume, so they don't change shape, and they have a fixed shape. Now, if that solid absorbed energy, then that energy that it absorbed will go towards making the particles move around faster. And as the particles move around faster, it will start to melt and turn back into a liquid. Now, if that liquid were to absorb more energy, then when the particles in a liquid absorb energy, they begin to move faster and faster, and they begin to evaporate. This is the process of evaporation. When this liquid absorbs energy and the particles move faster, fast enough to turn into a gas. So now the particles are moving around extremely fast because they absorb so much energy, and now the state of matter can be considered a gas. And the particles are literally bouncing off the walls of their container. The particles are moving extremely fast in every direction all over the place. And that's why gases don't have any fixed shape, and they don't have any fixed volume, because no matter what volume you have, no matter what space you have, the particles in the gas are going to bounce around enough where they hit the edges of the container, no matter what size it is. Now, if you were to calm these gas particles down and release some of their energy, then the particles would move a little bit slower to the point where they become a liquid again. Now this is called condensation. When a gas, it releases that energy and the particles move slower, bringing it back down to a liquid. Now let's look at another process. This process is called sublimation. So when you take a solid and it absorbs energy, then it can go straight to a gas, completely skipping the liquid phase depending on what substance it is. For example, dry ice. Dry ice is a solid, but it sublimates through the process of sublimation, going from a solid to a gas. And it's absorbing energy. The particles, which were rigid in the solid, begin to move extremely fast in the gaseous phase because it's absorbing energy. Now, the opposite of that is called deposition. That is when you have a gas and the particles in the gas, which are moving fast, they release energy to the point where they slow down so much that they stop moving, becoming a solid. So when a gas releases energy, then it can undergo the process of deposition, going from a gas to a solid. These are what we call phase changes, when we change from a solid to a liquid to a gas and back again. And all phase changes are physical changes.